Fat Joe's record. I listen to it. I can't do it. I don't care about the money. I'm getting about the money.
I like to tell the people home, I feel so safe tonight with all this police protection courtesy of G0NE. Fat Joe, man. Pussy boy.
When I was with him, he would go, "We everywhere, you never there." And it's because I was already in the arenas. So what would I be doing back in the nightclub?
Yeah.
At that point.
Terrence, to Dixon just dropped a bomb. He filed a complaint claiming he saw Fat Joe groom, isolate, and take advantage of minors while working under Joe's company. And it didn't take long for Joe's legal team to clap back. But that's not even the craziest part. 50 Cent just spoke out and accused Fat Joe of trying to get him whacked. Straight up murder plot vibes. Now Joe's being named in a full-blown RICO case, and this lawsuit isn't just about music drama anymore. This is deep, dangerous territory. And guess who's airing it all out? Joe's own hype man. The dude who stood next to him for over a decade. He's not just throwing shade, he's spilling secrets from inside the circle, claiming Joe ran things like a straight-up criminal empire. People are even throwing around the term PDF file with some serious accusations tied to it. So, how does 50 Cent play into this? Longtime fans remember, 50 and Joe's beef used to be real ugly, but this lawsuit says Joe didn't just hate him. He actually tried to have him taken out. More than once. The only reason 50's still here? His security team was airtight. No joke. But here's where it twists. 50 finally responded, and his version doesn't line up with the court docs. He's playing it down like it wasn't a big deal. That's got fans scratching their heads. Why would he minimize an alleged hit attempt unless there's something else going on? Is he hiding something? Or trying not to stir up an even bigger storm? Now people are connecting the dots. This isn't just about Fat Joe catching charges. This links back to that old G-Unit versus Terror Squad war, and it's starting to look like that beef never ended. It just went underground. Once you see the names, dates, and what's being said in this lawsuit, things spiral way out of control. People online are already saying these claims make the Diddy situation look light in comparison. Yeah, it's that wild. Let's break it down. According to the explosive new lawsuit filed by Fat Joe's ex-hype man Terrence Todd Dixon, this wasn't just about silencing 50 Cent. It was a straight-up assassination plot. Dixon says Joe didn't just want 50 quiet, he wanted him gone, as in dead. The court docs claim Fat Joe masterminded a cold, calculated plan to take 50 Cent out during the height of their beef, right between 2006 and 2007. Allegedly, Joe was chillin' in Miami when he got word that 50 was showing up at a New York spot, and that's when he made the call. Dixon says Joe ordered a hit and told his people to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. But the plan flopped because 50 was rolling deep with elite-level Navy SEAL-type security. The hitmen backed off, too scared to move in. But Joe, he wasn't happy. The lawsuit says he was straight up furious that things didn't go as planned. Dixon claims Joe told his inner circle he'd been trying to get 50 for a minute, and was even shaking from anger when the hit failed. That's not just a random threat. That's full-on intent, emotional investment, and coordination. The suit paints Joe as someone who wasn't just mad, he was obsessed. And now, with all this finally coming to light, people are saying Joe wasn't just playing the tough guy in lyrics, he was allegedly moving like a real boss behind the scenes. With bodies on the line, Dixon's not letting up. He claims Joe's crew tracked 50 Cent by following his performance schedule, plotting to ambush him at multiple venues out in public. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment drama. This was a full-blown setup, allegedly planned in advance to catch 50 slipping. So once the lawsuit hit the headlines, everyone thought 50 would explode and drag Joe through the mud. But instead, he threw everyone off with a surprising twist. 50 posted a pic of him and Joe together, with Young Buck's "Prices on My Head" playing in the background. And the caption, "Total curveball." He wrote, "These baseless accusations and claims are not credible. I'm sorry Joe has to endure the public scrutiny and damage to his reputation. This is a stick-up. I wrote this hook. I should have kept this one." Fans lost it. Like, what? Is 50 defending Fat Joe now? Some people think he's being real. Others are saying he's just being slick and trolling the whole situation. One person commented, 50's playing chess. If he moves like this, Joe's gonna owe him big time because he knows it's true. Another wrote, sincere? And here's the thing, anybody can toss out claims in a lawsuit, but this isn't coming from a random bystander. This is Joe's former hype man, a guy who was close enough to see how the business really worked. He's saying Joe ran his circle like a straight-up mob boss, and that the hit on 50 wasn't the only shady thing that went down. Dixon's lawsuit gets even darker. And believe it or not, the murder plot isn't even the worst part. This is where things get real disturbing. He claims Fat Joe was involved with underage girls and even paid for a BL procedure for a 15-year-old. Yeah, 15. The lawsuit, filed in federal court in New York, is so graphic that it opens with a trigger warning. And it's not light reading. It's 157 pages of heavy accusations. Dixon says Joe forced him into humiliating situations too, acts performed under pressure while being watched, with threats of being left behind in other countries if he didn't go along. According to him, he was pushed into more than 4,000 acts just to keep his place in the circle. But the most disturbing part, Dixon says he personally witnessed Joe with multiple underage victims. He names 3 Jane Does in the documents, including a 16-year-old Dominican girl from New York who, in exchange for money, clothes, and her phone bill being covered, would perform certain acts on Joe. Fans are stunned. These aren't just wild claims from the internet. This is coming from someone who was right there. And if even a fraction of this holds up, things could get way worse for Joe than anyone expected. Dixon says the second alleged victim was a white female who was not a U.S. citizen. He claims Fat Joe started having relations with her when she was 15, after a concert overseas. Dixon alleges that Joe flew her to New York City and Miami multiple times. He also says that because her body wasn't fully developed, Joe paid for her to get a BBL. Jane Doe 3 is described as a Latina female who met Joe when she was 15, turning 16. Dixon claims Joe was in love with her and even considered leaving his wife. According to the lawsuit, Joe paid all of her bills and brought her to international tour stops. He also allegedly flew her to Florida and placed her in a condo a few blocks from the home he shared with his wife. Dixon says Joe was in his late 30s at the time. The complaint includes multiple photos of Jane Doe 3 with her high school friends, which Dixon says were taken while Joe was moving her across state lines. At this point in the lawsuit, questions about ARICO case begin to surface. The second alleged victim is described as a Caucasian female who was not a U.S. citizen. Dixon says Fat Joe started having relations with her when she was 15, after a concert overseas. He claims Joe flew her to New York City and Miami multiple times. Dixon alleges that due to her body not being fully developed, Joe paid for her to get a BBL. Jane Doe 3 is described as a Latina girl who met Joe when she was 15, turning 16. Dixon says Joe was in love with her and even thought about leaving his wife. The lawsuit claims Joe paid all her bills and took her on international tour stops. He allegedly brought her to Florida and set her up in a condo a few blocks from the home he shared with his wife. Dixon says Joe was in his late 30s at the time. He included photos of Jane Doe 3 with her high school friends, claiming they were taken while Joe was moving her across state lines. This section of the lawsuit raises questions about possible RICO charges. Civil RICO cases are no joke. They let regular people hit back using a law that was built to crush the mafia. And that's exactly what Todd Dixon is doing. He's swinging hard at Fat Joe, claiming this isn't just one shady move, it's a whole criminal enterprise. According to Dixon, Fat Joe wasn't working alone. He says Joe was at the top of a crew running dirty ops, and he's got names too: Pete, Pistol Pete, Torres, and Richard Rich Blairger. These two weren't just background players. Dixon calls them key soldiers in Joe's so-called crime network. That alone is wild. But to make this civil RICO claim stick, Dixon's gotta prove more than just bad behavior. He has to show they were all part of an actual group, something that operated like a mini mafia. It's not enough to say Joe and his guys were wildin' out. He has to prove they committed at least 2 serious crimes. Things like fraud, extortion, pushing illegal substances, or even witness intimidation. And here's the kicker. Those crimes can't just be random one-off stunts. They had to be part of a long-running pattern, something strategic, not sloppy. That's what makes RICO so powerful. It paints the picture of an organized machine, not just one guy acting out. Once that RICO label is thrown around, everything sounds bigger, dirtier, and way more dangerous. Even though this is a civil case, once you throw the word RICO in there, it hits different. It gets people talking. And it definitely makes the feds start watching real close. And we all know, if there's one thing the feds love, it's a long-time insider suddenly flipping and spilling everything, especially someone saying they saw it all go down up close. And let's be honest, RICO ain't some brand new thing in hip-hop. From YSL to Casanova to Diddy, these types of charges have been circling the culture hard lately. So if what Dixon is saying is even halfway real, and this so-called operation was running for over 10 years, people are asking, why now? Why'd he stay silent this long? Calling it a stick-up at 57? That's bold. So what finally made Dixon talk? According to him, it wasn't about clout, it was about survival. He says he kept quiet for years because he was scared. Scared for his career, but more importantly, scared for his life. And he claims that when he tried to walk away, the threats started flying. Fat Joe allegedly kept him close because Dixon knew way too much. A lot of folks outside the industry might not even know who Terrence Dixon is, but in the game, he was there. Fat Joe's hype man for 16 years straight, standing right by his side on every tour. But now he's flipping the whole story, claiming Joe kept his circle locked down using fear, intimidation, and power moves to control everyone around him. Now everyone's asking the real question, is this about justice? Or is this just cold-blooded revenge? Because when you dig into what actually led to the fallout between Todd Dixon and Fat Joe, it wasn't one dramatic blow-up. Nah, Dixon says it was years of being used, underpaid, and eventually tossed to the side when he stopped playing the game. And here's the real bombshell. He dragged Roc Nation straight into the mess. In the lawsuit, Dixon accuses them of being way more than just industry bystanders. He claims Roc Nation acted as a strategic facilitator in Fat Joe's alleged criminal setup. That's wild. According to Dixon, they either knew what was going on or straight up looked the other way. Dixon's accusations go deep. He says he was victimized by this so-called criminal structure. We're talking forced labor, financial fraud, violent retaliation, and even serious trafficking claims. It's not just shady business, it's heavy stuff. But let's talk timing, because that's what's got people side-eyeing all of this. Fat Joe's been keeping a pretty low profile lately, and the major fire's been aimed at other rap moguls. So why now? Is Dixon trying to slide his case in while the feds are all over the hip-hop scene? Or is he genuinely exposing something that's been buried too long? We're staring at a 157-page RICO lawsuit, packed with some jaw-dropping claims, even involving PDF-type offenses. Yet in the middle of all this heat, 50 Cent's out here brushing it off, saying Joe's just being set up. And let's not forget, 50 has no problem going after Diddy or dragging Jay-Z into the mud when it suits him. So why is he protecting Fat Joe now? Something ain't adding up. So why is 50 Cent acting like Fat Joe's off limits all of a sudden? Diddy hasn't even been found guilty yet. And 50's already out here filming a whole documentary on him and his alleged mess. And when it comes to Jay-Z, 50's been firing shots non-stop ever since that first lawsuit against Diddy hit. Just a few weeks ago, he even clowned Jay again, hinting that he might have had something to do with that wild explosion involving Kid Cudi's car. But now, Fat Joe's being sued, and Roc Nation, Jay-Z's own brand, is being named as part of the whole setup. And what's 50 doing? Just brushing it off like it's nothing. That's got fans scratching their heads, asking, why is he suddenly chill? Maybe that fan was right when they said, 50 plays chess, not checkers. Maybe this ain't loyalty. Maybe 50's just protecting his own neck. Cause let's be real, if Fat Joe actually tried to put a bag on 50's head like the lawsuit hints, and if everything else Dixon's saying holds weight, this could crack the game wide open. We might be watching the start of something way bigger. The RICO wars are officially here, and now insiders are whispering that the feds might not stop with Joe, Diddy, or Jay. They might have 50 Cent in their crosshairs next. This ain't over. Not even close. So smash that like button, drop a comment with what you think, hit that subscribe so you don't miss the next bombshell, and we'll catch you in the next one.